Are you interested in innovative education and diversity in school models? Do you see a need for something different to bring about a reformation in our current education system? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join us for this special summer series where we will introduce you to the HERO Project. HERO stands for Heartland Education Reformation Organization and is focused on providing support for unique faith-based schools. These creative Christian learning environments, such as homeschool co-ops, microschools, and hybrid schools, are popping up all across Kansas and throughout the Heartland. The HERO Project offers continued support for this movement. I am your host, Dalena Wallace, founder of the WISE Network and president of AIM Educational Collaborative. Welcome to our summer series of WISE and Otherwise, where we will be highlighting the unique role of the church in supporting a reformation in education through the HERO Project. Okay, hello. Welcome back to another episode of WISE and Otherwise. I have with me today Larissa Green. She is a dear friend and a very talented and skilled, well, as it turns out, she's a software developer these days. And she's a homeschool mom, a director of a homeschool co-op, and just all around amazing. Larissa, tell us a little bit about your background.
Hi, Dalena. Nice to be here with you. So I grew up in a family that really prioritized education, and that was back in the 80s when homeschool was pretty new, but my parents did decide to homeschool us. They didn't have a whole lot of support back then, but it was something they felt strongly about. So we were homeschooled most of my childhood, and then my parents actually became entrepreneurs themselves and started a website design company back when the internet as a personal device in the home was brand new in the mid-90s. And the whole purpose for starting that business was to send us to a private school and then to help us through college. So they really prioritized parents taking control and ownership of their kids' education and making that happen however that needed to happen, not waiting around for somebody else to provide that for us. So I saw that growing up. And then I became an adult. My husband and I fostered and adopted some children, and we decided kind of through that experience that homeschool was also best for us. So we started homeschooling, and then I met Dalena and another wonderful friend, Devin, and we started doing homeschool in community with moms who also felt strongly about doing it in community. And so things have just snowballed from there.
Yeah, and what I love about you is that you're a visionary by yourself, but then something about when the three of us would put our heads together and kind of come up with ideas, how we can solve problems and provide solutions for families in our community, because we would recognize in our own family with our kids, like, okay, we really need this. Like maybe it's community, maybe we need a time to get together one day a week or more than that, or we just want to share the workload. I think it's just been so great and I would encourage other moms and other teachers and educators to kind of think in that way, think in a community mindset and like share resources, support, share our talents with each other. So often homeschool moms feel like they just have to do it by themselves, and I meet many moms that are just kind of like siloed off on this little island doing their homeschool thing. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I admire that, but why not, just contribute to each other's homeschooling experience and educating our children together?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think it depends on the child too. One of the beauties of homeschooling is you can tailor it to your kids' needs. So I have a daughter who learns in community the best. When she's with other people, other teachers are putting their knowledge into her life. And then I have a son who's not your typical kid. He has some learning differences, and he learns best alone in a quiet environment. And so I've just been really grateful that homeschool has provided both of those environments for my kids. I haven't had to send my daughter off to school to find that community and to find those other teachers for her. So yeah, it's just been amazing being able to work with other moms in our area. There's a lot of homeschool moms who are just amazing people and have so many resources to share. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so a little bit of our background together. I can kind of share some of this side because I'm part of it, which has been really fun. So Larissa and I, we started meeting in my home together with our friend Devin. I don't know, 7 years ago, 8, 9 years ago,
Yeah.
with just our three families and bringing our kids together. And then heard from other moms that were looking for something similar. And just we were really blessed to have the use of our church facility. They have a facility that's actually a former public school building, and we were able to use that. And so we've grown into a homeschool co-op. So we had a microschool in my home that was 1 day a week, and then we would augment that with community classes. We'd hire teachers and provide art classes and choir and other things that were
Science,
available.
science is
Science,
big.
yeah, all types of classes. So we've had community classes that we've helped to organize together, and then the co-op. Tell us a little bit about Apollos and just kind of the origins, the history, how long we've been doing that, and how many families we're serving, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So Apollos, the reason I mentioned science because that was really the central impetus, I would say, to get Apollos started. Was we had a friend who loved science, had a master's in science, and was willing to teach our kids. And our kids were growing up and getting into the more advanced sciences, and we just didn't feel confident in teaching those ourselves. And so it was really a hole that we had among our families. So we asked her if she would teach for us, and we invited a few other families to join us. And that's how Apollos Scolae community got started. And really, Dalena, you were the main visionary of that and just getting that going. And we wanted to be a community and a true co-op, so like a cooperative of moms that were working together. And there's other co-ops or homeschool groups in our community that provide drop-off classes or are a lot larger and more impersonal, but provide for parents who need something different, who can't be really involved in the co-op. But ours is a little different. We really emphasize that moms work together, form a community. We seek out like-minded moms who can really support one another and add to that community. So I think that's important for us. That's just what we've decided to look like. And
One
so,
of the things I just want to mention right there that has been really fun, we're not doing this currently, but in previous years, we even had lunch together, and that was
yeah,
really fun. Our kids were younger at that point, and so we realized once we had high schoolers, they kind of all needed their full mornings, and we couldn't meet for morning classes and then lunch and afternoon classes. So we stopped doing the lunchtime, but
yeah.
we've always prioritized kind of like sharing in life together and sharing a meal and sharing in fellowship with the moms and having the kids have, plenty of time to just play and
Mhm.
socialize,
Yeah,
so
and
it's been
teaching
great.
kids how to interact with younger kids or with older kids or with kids they might not naturally be drawn to. So we would mix the kids up into groups and give them things to talk about over the meal. So it was a lot more than just the academics that we were focused on. But that, again, is the beauty of homeschooling. You can figure out what you need, what your priorities are. You can start a group that meets that need, or you can find a group and add to it. So it's fun. It changes from year to year too, depending on the family's needs,
Yeah.
which is also great. But yeah, so that's
Yeah. And Apollos it's been great. But for my family specifically, so I would be kind of one of those that might need more of a hybrid model. So we've had other guests on the show who've developed like a hybrid school where they would have more like 3 or 4 days a week, but they're also providing services for homeschool families, hiring teachers, or they're the teachers themselves, and kind of providing something that to offset the days. So they'll have days at home when they're learning and then days in person in class doing it as a community. So through through my need with my 6 kids and my husband traveling and things like that, I really wanted to explore what it might look like And I learned about the term of a microschool, and I'm like, what? Like, that's what we've already been doing. Let's do it. Let's do it more, and let's grow this, and let's encourage other people to do this. But while we experimented, so we had a program come to the state of Kansas that was doing a pilot program, and they were experimenting and wanted to have some guides to work with and to launch microschools. And so I signed up for the program, and we did it, and it was amazing. It was great. We learned a lot. We learned about the things that we really enjoy doing and the things that we would do a little bit differently. We learned about some of the very useful tools for school founders or educators. And we learned about some organizational skills and things that help us with tracking attendance and all sorts of different like tools and resources that we knew were going to be really important for people if they were starting their own microschool or their own co-op. So that leads us to you now kind of launching into, and you know, I'm part of the founding group with this, the founding team, but we have launched Spark, and it's a learning management system. So tell us more about what Spark is all about and how that came to be and how we were able to pull together the amazing team of developers.
Sure. So yeah, like you say, we tried a microschool for a year in your home. You were the main guide, microschool guide or teacher. And this program had an online component where the kids would get on every morning on their Chromebook, see what they needed to do, submit their work, see their progress, and earn rewards. And that was one thing we just really loved about that program. Our kids just responded really well to that. And I had never thought of using an online program of any type to organize my homeschool work. I'd always just written out lists on a piece of paper or attempted to use a planner, which never worked great because it never fit my exact needs, you know. And so I started to look around for something that we could use with our kids, and nothing just seemed to fit. I also really liked the rewards part of it and how it motivated the kids. So actually, the story goes, I was giving my then 2-year-old a bath, and this light bulb turned on in my mind. I'm like, oh, I think my younger brother is a software developer. I was always kind of confused as to what his work really was because it was kind of beyond me. But so I texted him and I said, would you ever consider building an online learning management system for us? And I kind of gave him the basics of what we were looking for. And at the time, we were really interested in like transcripts or grade reports for our high schoolers. Our kids were starting to enter into high school, and we wanted that, an easy way to keep those records. And he responded right back and was really enthusiastic and said this was something he had been wanting to do for years. He had managed a school, an English school in China for a time and had taught at one. And he had actually tried to build an LMS, learning management system, way back when he was first learning how to program, but he said it was not good. So it had always been in the back of his mind to build one. So he was, I guess the timing was just perfect for me to ask him that. I feel like the stars just kind of aligned between my friendship with you and learning about microschools and using that program, and then my connection with him and where he was at in life. And he had already been an entrepreneur himself, had started another company, had been part of other startups all along. That's really where his heart is at too. So he jumped on board. He took it a lot further than we were expecting. He was like, okay, I'm going to turn this into a company. I'm going to start a business. Do you want to be part of it? He gave us that option.
Yeah.
And I think kind of naively, we were like, sure, not knowing the work involved, but it's been wonderful. So now I'm an educational entrepreneur. We started with the LMS side of things, so the learning management. So that would be the classroom management, assignments, grade books, attendance. We did a rewards system where students can earn rewards. We built a student portal for students to get on and see their work. And then as we put this on the market and started actually talking with real micro schools and hybrid homeschools, we started to see that they also really needed a school management system. So that's when we started to develop that side of Spark. So we have enrollment, we have billing, which includes online payments now. We have communications, and we have forms. That's a brand new feature that was just released. So our goal with Spark is to really create a comprehensive program that offers both the teacher classroom management tools and the admin school management tools all in one. And to fill that niche of alternative educators, smaller micro schools or even larger hybrid homeschools or co-ops, because there's really not something out there specifically designed for that type of school. So that's
Right. Yeah.
Spark came about.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of Wise and Otherwise. We'd like to ask you to take a minute and please rate and review our podcast so that others can learn more about us, and just to continue to show your support for this work that we're doing. It would mean so much. So please, if you're on Spotify or Apple or YouTube, take a minute and give us a good review. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, and you're not kidding about like us not really knowing how far Joe would take this. I mean, we just were naive about, like, number one, his skill sets, like where his capabilities, we didn't really quite know. And we were just looking for something pretty basic to meet our needs. And then to realize this is amazing. I mean, just all that his knowledge and experience and all that he's been able to create for us and for other school founders and educators and homeschool moms. It's amazing. So if you want to take a minute, I'll let you kind of show us, do a little brief walkthrough for us. What I really appreciate is that there's the teacher view, the teacher platform, and then the student platform. And I really like the way that looks for the students. So let's just take maybe 5 minutes and show us your screen and show us a little bit more about this Spark product.
Sure. Yeah, let me get Spark up and then share my screen. Don't want to share everything so we don't get an infinity camera going. Okay, so this is Spark, and this is the dashboard of Spark if you create a school and put a picture and put students in it. And like Dalena was saying, well, or maybe I was saying, we have a teacher side where you have all of your classroom management tools, such as an assignment calendar. You can create courses for your students that you can use again and again. You can organize things by subject. You can create classrooms. So if you have a larger school with a lot of teachers and students, you can organize them into classrooms and then give your teachers different access levels to their classroom. You can keep a grade book for your students. Of course, you can organize your students here. You can create rewards for your students, and they can earn points as they submit their work and then buy rewards. You can also chat with anybody in your school, including guardians and students. You can keep track of your school calendar. And then over on the admin side, this is the school management features. So you can organize all of your people and just see their information in one place. You can keep attendance for your students. You can set up an enrollment program and send out an application that the system automatically creates for you. And then you can organize your applications that come back in. You can communicate by sending emails or announcements to families, or even to people outside of your Spark school if you need it for a newsletter or marketing purposes. You can create forms and send them to families to fill out. And then you can also do billing, where you can create installment plans for your families, or one-time invoices, or set up online payments so they can pay you over the internet. So that would be our school management side. And then students have access to their portal. And I did not prepare this in advance of today, so it's not beautiful right now, but a student can get on to their portal. They can look at all of their assignments, depending, like organize it by subject. They can open up an assignment. If this had instructions in it, they could see the instructions. They could see any links that they need to follow, or other files that you've put in the assignment for them to look at. They can send back a text response to you, or they can upload a picture of what they completed for you, or they can just confirm that they got it done. They can also look at goals, which I don't have any goals over here right now, but they can work at their own pace at something that we have called goals, where, for instance, you might tell them to read a book that has 20 chapters and they have a month to get it done. And then the system will break that down and tell them how many chapters they should read a day approximately, and then they can work at it at their own pace. They can go into their rewards section and buy a reward if they have enough points. And all of this, the rewards that they purchase, the goals that they have progress on, the assignments that they submit, that all goes back to the teacher's portal for them to look at and review. And then teachers can approve it. They can ask students to redo it. They can give students feedback. They can enter grades into the grade book. So it's just a really great way to stay organized. I use it with my own homeschool with my kids, and I finally feel like we've stayed on track. We've gotten our work done, completely done, which is amazing. By the end of the year, I know where they're at from day to day and things. I don't have to nag at them to get their work done because I just tell them, look at Spark, do what it says to do. And it gives them a lot more empowerment as well over, what they do first, or not having to wait on mom for instructions. So it's just been a really great addition to our personal homeschool, but then also to the microschool that I taught in. And
Yeah.
So that
Absolutely.
was a really quick.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. And it really is amazing. And if you're just listening on podcast and haven't been able to view the video, I'd encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and just try to navigate around and see, or just go, Larissa, please share the website for Spark.
Oh, sure. It's sparkyourschool.com, sparkyourschool.com, and you can create a school and use it for 30 days for free. You don't have to put in any financial information. Just have it free for 30 days. At the end of that time, if you want to subscribe, you can. If you let your trial lapse and then later you want to pick up your subscription again, you won't have lost any of your data that you put in your school. It will still be there. You can cancel at any time. So yeah, it's pretty simple to just try it out for a while and see if it works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just hearing your story in the background, I just think it's really neat. There's so many examples of just individuals who are taking education into their own hands. So going back to your own parents and them just feeling like they needed to do whatever they needed to do to provide the education for you and your brothers. And then their company that they started and the income from that, allowing them to send you to private school and college. And then you and your husband, meeting the needs for your own kids as you were fostering and adopting. And then that launched you into your homeschooling, and then wanting to serve the community more through the Microschool and co-op. So it's just really encouraging to see how individuals can feel empowered. And that's what I really love about the development of the Spark, the learning management system, to help to provide these resources and tools for anyone who wants to take matters into their own hands. If it's for their own children in their homeschool, or if they want to operate a microschool or a community co-op of some sort, now you have the tools. Now you have things so that you feel empowered to go ahead and do what's best for your own kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really the motivation behind Spark, is, like you say, empowering people who want to take it into their own hands. There's a lot of school platforms out there for large schools, districts, but they are expensive. For a large part, they're cumbersome, hard to learn. You have to go through a lot of workshops just to learn how to use them. And so our goal with Spark in empowering alternative educators is to create something that's fairly user-friendly. That's not easy to do a lot of times, but we try really hard to keep it user-friendly, easy to learn, comprehensive, so you get most of what you need in one program. You're not having to purchase several programs, learn several programs. Flexible enough to meet the needs of both like a small micro school of 10 students and a large hybrid homeschool of 100 students, and we're still getting there. We're not completely at that place where we can meet the larger school's needs really nicely, but we are working on it. We're really open to feedback with all of our users. And then we also want to stay affordable, because we understand that a lot of these educators, you're not in it for the money, you're not trying to make a big profit, you're in it for the students. And so we want to keep it affordable for you. And I've heard Joseph, my brother, who's the CEO of Spark and the main developer, often say that the thing that really motivates him to work day in and day out on this as hard as he can is all of these educators who are doing way more work than he's doing, trying to manage a school with the billing, with the enrollment, with the parent interaction, and doing it for the students because they love these kids and want to provide a better education for them. And so that's really what motivates him. So I think that's really cool. And he does put a lot of work into this. We have another developer on the team too. And then my older brother is actually the business guy for Spark, which is cool. He has the business experience and education. So it's really fun to do this with my brothers and with my friends. It's been special, but
yeah, and it's a pretty cool team, kind of like a powerhouse of talent there. So we just really didn't know what we were getting into or opening up. It's like amazing. So yeah, so all of our listeners go to sparkyourschool.com and check out the website. So thank you, Larissa, for being on the show. I just love that we've been able to share the story. I think that it's very encouraging to hear of others who are homeschool moms, who you're a pastor's wife, you live in a small rural community, you homeschool. I think you already said that. And but you are now an education entrepreneur, and it's all about solving problems and providing solutions for your own family and your kids, and then families in your community. And then again, just feeling called that God has given you gifts and talents. Like you're an excellent teacher. I love you've been able to teach my kids in several classes, and then the skills that your brothers have too. And I think that when we're open with our gifts and our talents, it's amazing what God will do with that, and our willingness and our obedience to just follow him. So thank you for all that you do with that.
You're welcome. Yeah, I just love doing school in community and coming alongside other people, supporting them, and I feel like Spark is just another tool to help in that direction, and so, yeah, if you do check out the website and you need to know more about it, or you need to, have a demo with one of us, just shoot us an email through the contact form there. We're really open to talking with people and getting feedback and whatever, because we're here to support, like you say, whatever that looks like. So
yeah, innovative educators. So thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you today for our listeners for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Dalena.